The video about a woman complaining about Chinese Communist Party's experts deceiving the people has gone viral. The number of primary schools in China has decreased by 80,000 in 10 years, equivalent to a reduction of 35%. Grave prices in China's top-tier cities skyrocket. China's consumer recovery is still dubious as nearly 60% of households prefer to save. It's all covered in today's China Truths. The video about a woman complaining about Chinese Communist Party's experts deceiving the people has gone viral. A Chinese woman has uploaded a short video in which she complains that some domestic experts are not diligently researching ways to benefit the people, but are instead exerting all efforts into finding ways to deceive the people and legally and reasonably strip them of their property. This video has recently been circulating on the Chinese internet and has attracted public attention. In the video, the woman speaks candidly about the difference between Chinese and foreign experts. While foreign experts are researching how to develop high technology for the benefit of their own people, Chinese experts are focusing on how to deal with the people, specifically how to legally and reasonably take money from the people. Later, she mentioned that over 30 years ago, when the population of China was not yet 1 billion, if you thought there were too many people, the family planning policy wouldn't allow you to have a child, leading to forced abortions, forced sterilizations, and fines, and even involvement in the confiscation of your livestock and theft of your house. Now China's population is 1.4 billion, and it encourages random childbearing. Unmarried people or even college students can have children. This is not because China's territory has become larger, but because too many houses have been built, with no one buying them and no one selling them, so that future generations can inherit them. This woman has made additional accusations. Domestic experts and capitalists have colluded to sell houses, transferring resources such as schools and hospitals to the city, then forcing people to move to the city to buy houses. If they do not buy a house, their children will not be admitted to public schools. Experts also claim that consuming excessive pork fat can cause cancer and result in triple highs, high blood pressure, high blood sugar, high cholesterol, but in reality, they sell salad oil and cooking oil to deceive the public. She stated, the suppression of traditional Chinese medicine is not for the benefit of the people, but because they are afraid that traditional Chinese medicine will take away jobs from Western medicine. They prohibit burning straw in rural areas to force people to buy chemical fertilizers and pesticides. They do not allow people to burn firewood for liquefied gas. They restrict the use of electric vehicles on the road not for the safety of the people, but to make you buy a car and contribute to insurance companies and gas stations. Cremation is not for land conservation, but to make you pay extra money. This woman bluntly pointed out, the combination of medical examination and treatment for the people is not to save your money, but to keep an eye on the money in your pocket. What is health insurance? It means initially a steamed bun costs only 1 yuan, but it is sold to you for 5 yuan each, then returned to you 3 yuan, resulting in you paying 2 yuan for a steamed bun that originally cost 1 yuan. And yet you mistakenly think that the bun seller is wonderful, and you are grateful for being returned 3 yuan. She candidly stated, if you carefully observe the words and actions of some people in China, you will see that those who set the rules are the most defiant. They are only tools to oppress and coerce the people, with the aim of making you voluntarily empty your pockets based on the rules most honestly. The woman concluded, therefore, the Chinese people have gone from disappointment to despair with experts. They ridicule experts and call them people who specialize in harming others. Only someone who can research and find ways to help the Chinese people become wealthy is a true expert. The woman's complaints and accusations have been widely spread on Chinese social media and have drawn public attention. The public account Funyan Jinji has further supplemented the content of the woman's accusations against Chinese experts, while also pointing out that ordinary Chinese citizens are not living well, and even in death, they are not properly buried. Under the short video accusing Chinese experts, some Chinese netizens left thought-provoking comments with a deep question: who can give orders to the experts? Who really controls the experts? The number of primary schools in China has decreased by 80,000 in 10 years, equivalent to a reduction of 35%. the number of new college students in China has decreased, affecting the number of students in schools. The news report states that the number of elementary schools nationwide has decreased by 79,900 over the past 10 years, equivalent to a 35% decrease. According to recent data from the Ministry of Education of China, in 2022, there were a total of 149,100 primary schools in the country, enrolling a total of 17,013,900 students nationwide, with 107 million students currently studying in primary schools. According to data released by China's Ministry of Education on October 23, 2013, there were 229,000 regular elementary schools nationwide in 2012. This means that over the past 10 years, the number of elementary schools in the country has decreased by 79,900, or a 35% reduction, as reported by the Epoch Times. On April 4, China Business Network reported that the main reason for the significant decline in the number of elementary schools over the past 10 years is the decrease in student population in rural areas. After the impact of preschool enrollment this year, it is expected that the elementary school student population will be more affected in the next 3 to 5 years, particularly in rural elementary schools. On the 23rd of last month, Lu Changya, the director of the Planning and Development Department of the Ministry of Education of China, announced that the total number of preschool children in China in 2022 was 46.2755 million. This figure is 1.7766 million fewer compared to the number of preschool children reported in the Statistical Bulletin on Education Development in 2021 published last year. In 2022, China had a total of 289,200 preschools, which decreased by approximately 5,600 compared to the previous year. China Business Network reported in March that this is the first negative growth in the number of preschools in China since 2008. The decline in the number of preschools and primary schools in China is attributed to a significant decrease in the number of newborns. Recently, 18 out of 31 provinces and cities in China have released data on the number of newborns in 2022. The data indicates a consistent decrease in the birth rate compared to 2021. Grave prices in China's top-tier cities skyrocket. As Qingming Festival approaches, sky-high graveyard prices once again become a hot topic. In China's top-tier cities, cemetery prices have surpassed housing prices, with a new grave in Shanghai costing up to 763,000 renminbi per square meter. According to reports, the new cemetery area at Shanghai Songhua Garden, which opened in mid-March, will have prices of 341,800 renminbi for a single grave or double grave measuring 0.6 square meters. The price for a triple grave in the same area is 457,800 renminbi, equivalent to 763,000 renminbi per square meter, several times higher than housing prices in downtown Shanghai. According to the official website of Shanghai Songhua Garden, the Area 5 Dexinuan is the most expensive section of the cemetery, with a triple grave measuring 0.8 square meters priced at 628,800 renminbi, equivalent to 786,000 renminbi per square meter. In China, not only are cemeteries expensive, but people also cannot have long-term ownership of cemetery plots due to exorbitant prices. According to the law of the People's Republic of China, cemetery ownership belongs to the state or collectives, and cemetery plots and niches for ashes can only be used for a maximum of 20 years. In other words, Chinese citizens are essentially paying a hefty price for a 20-year lease, and after 20 years, they would need to pay additional fees, otherwise, they would have to relocate to another location. Therefore, the phenomenon of cemetery homes has emerged in many places like Shanghai. Instead of paying sky-high prices for a 20-year lease on a cemetery plot, some people prefer to buy a house with a 70-year ownership right to place the ashes of their ancestors. Chinese netizens often complain that death is not affordable and living is not feasible. For urban dwellers, even if they scatter the ashes of their loved ones at sea without purchasing a cemetery plot, funeral homes still charge burial fees for sea burials, ranging from thousands to even over 10,000 renminbi, unless it falls under the public sea burial activities organized by the government. Under the rule of the People's Republic of China, the funeral industry, much like the healthcare industry, has long become a massive profit-making enterprise. According to a recent report by mainland media, China has over 9,300 patented inventions related to funerals and cremation, ranking at the top globally. China's consumer recovery is still dubious as nearly 60% of households prefer to save. Most Chinese households still prefer to save than spend, new central bank data shows, a blow to government efforts to revive consumption after dropping hardline COVID restrictions late last year. Lingering concerns about jobs and income continue to be the primary reasons for the caution, the People's Bank of China, PBOC, said in a quarterly survey of 20,000 depositors released on Monday. It found that 58% of urban residents were in favor of having more deposits in the first quarter, down 3.8 percentage points from the fourth quarter of last year. Residents who said they were inclined to spend more increased by 0.5 percentage points from the previous quarter to 23.2%. About 18.8% of people said they would invest more, up 3.3 percentage points from the final quarter of 2022. China's economy has been slowly recovering in the aftermath of zero-COVID restrictions and outbreaks, but consumption remains a weak link. Beijing has prioritized reviving consumer spending, which accounted for only about a third of economic growth last year, versus half from investment. The PBOC last month unexpectedly cut the amount of cash that banks must hold as reserves for the first time this year to keep liquidity ample in the financial sector as well as support a nascent recovery. China's economy is on track to recover this year after it removes COVID restrictions, said Standard & Poor's Global Ratings last week. Mobility and business confidence have picked up. However, the recovery could face setbacks from subdued domestic consumption and weak external demand. The Box Income Sentiment Index, which measures depositors' current income, rose 6.9 percentage points from a quarter earlier to 50.7%. However, 69.7% of residents said their income was basically unchanged, an increase of 3.8 percentage points from the previous quarter, while 14.5% of the residents said that their income had decreased, a decline of 8.8 percentage points from the fourth quarter. Only 15.9% of respondents saw their income rise in the first 3 months of the year, up 5 percentage points from the final 3 months of 2022, the PBOC said. The survey's Employment Sentiment Index for the first quarter was 39.9%, 6.8 percentage points up from the previous quarter. However, just 13.2% of the residents believed that the job market had improved and it's easy to find jobs. Some 41.2% of survey respondents said the job market was grim and finding a job is difficult, or it's hard to know, while 45.6% said they thought the job market was average. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.